Guys, I have one heck of a feel-good story for today, guys. I'm very excited to be here today on Facebook Live with all of you. And again, we have a very pleasant story to share with you guys today. A lot of leftists, a lot of far left agitators were very upset about this, very upset, but we are quite happy about it. And I'm going to jump right into this, guys. If you let me know where you're watching from here in the great state of Minnesota. It's not often we get feel-good stories. It's not often. But today we have a fantastic feel-good story. And I'm happy to be back here because the Facebook overlords decided to give me a 24-hour ban. And I'm going to tell you why here momentarily. You guys by now have probably all heard about the Minnesota teacher who called for the assassination of newly appointed Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. Now, this story was actually starting a couple of days ago when this tweet was shared by a Facebook friend of mine, kind of a random post. Nobody was touching the story. Nobody wanted to touch the story. And, hey, I knew it was a gamble. It was a gamble. But we posted this story on our Minnesota Gun Rights Facebook page a couple of nights ago. And guys, it went ballistic. It went bananas. We had well over 3,000 shares on that Facebook post because the media, they wouldn't touch it. She's a leftist. She's screaming for leftist agenda. She wants Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh to be assassinated. This was her tweet. She says, "So who is going to take one for the team and kill Kavanaugh?" That's what she said. She was a teacher in our Minnesota schools. Her name was Samantha Ness. Well, we shared this on our Facebook page 2 nights ago. We had over 3,000 shares on it. We were getting hundreds of messages on the backside from leftists, crazies, people who were sympathetic to the idea of assassinating Brett Kavanaugh. They were screaming at us. How dare you point this out? How dare you tell people what's happening here? How dare you? And eventually, the Facebook gods decided to pull the post. But at that point, it had gone far beyond viral. There were over 3,000 shares. There was over 400,000 post reach on the story by the time Facebook decided to pull it. And because I was the one who put the post online, we knew it was a gamble. We knew that the leftists were going to hop right on there and start reporting it, and they did, and it got pulled down, and I got a 24-hour ban, which is why I did not do a Facebook Live video yesterday. But today, so fortunately, the news got out. The news got out. There were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of you guys commenting that you were going to call the school the next day, that would have been Monday morning, and you were going to give them a piece of your mind. Why do we have people in our Minnesota schools who are threatening to assassinate a Supreme Court justice? That was the question. We had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of you did just that, and that drove the leftists mad. Again, they pulled the post, and they banned me from Facebook, but it was worth it. You know why? Because the story finally got out there. No sooner had that post been pulled by Facebook, curse your rotten soul, Mark Zuckerberg, no sooner had that happened when all of a sudden every news media outlet in Minnesota was reporting on this story. They wouldn't do it the day before. They didn't do it the day before that. But once there was saturation level exposure on what she had said, now all of a sudden the media was going nuts on it because it was a massive breaking story. Well, today, now that I've been unbanned from Facebook a couple of hours ago, now Fox 59 and like a million other stations are reporting this right now, says a Minnesota teacher has resigned after a message allegedly appeared on her Twitter account suggesting someone should assassinate new U.S. Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. The Rosemount special education teacher has since deleted her Twitter account. Run and hide, run and hide. But a tweet that read, quote, "So who's going to take one for the team and kill Kavanaugh," was reported by Twitter users to the FBI and Secret Service. Way to go, everybody. You guys rocked the house. The FBI in Minneapolis told the Star Tribune that it's aware of the tweet. Intermediate School District 5917 Superintendent Mark Zuzek said in a statement Tuesday, which is today, that the employee has voluntarily resigned after being placed on paid administrative leave pending an investigation. I don't know why it's paid, but it is. The Tribune hasn't named the woman because she hasn't been charged with a crime. Well, we all know it was Samantha Ness. We've been talking about this for a couple of days. So in my mind, guys, this was well worth it. Well worth it. We had a bunch of people messaging us, losing their minds. How dare you? They used every name in the book over and over and over. How dare you expose this? How dare you draw attention to it? In what world, I want to ask you this, in what world does a person say, we should kill a U.S. Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh? That's okay. That's okay to say. But when we say, hey, that woman over there said we should kill Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh, now all of a sudden, we're big bad guys. We're terrible people. We shouldn't be saying stuff like that. How dare we tell people who she was, where she works, or what happens? Well, let me tell you, this is, if there's some psychos watching this, the people who are screaming at us, going nuts, how dare you, how dare you? Look, we're sick and tired of getting our teeth kicked in by the left. The Christian cake bakers, hey, they got no free pass. They got no free pass. This is happening to conservatives, to Republicans, to freedom lovers and patriots all across the nation. The left is using their bully pulpit. They're using social media. They're using these things to cram this stuff down our throats. Well, it's about time a leftist, a radical leftist, or a far left liberal. Now, we know there's a lot of liberals who support gun rights, but she is a far left liberal. It's about time they got a taste of their own medicine. Go back where you belong. Stop shoving your agenda down our throats. You know, they chase U.S. senators out of restaurants. They invade their houses. They have been attacking good people. They attack, hey, if you don't want to perform a gay marriage, we're going to shut your business down. If you don't want to make a cake, we're going to shut your business down. They will come after us with every tool at their disposal. But somehow we're supposed to be better than they are and just don't say anything. We're supposed to be nicer than them, and somehow we're going to win? No, we're not. We're not going to win. That only encourages the left to keep pushing their agenda. Well, guys, in Minnesota, we had a bit of justice today because this leftist teacher who should not be teaching our children, tell me, if there's anybody on here, do you think that this woman should be teaching your children? If her mind is so far to the left that she thinks we should assassinate U.S. Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh, do you want her teaching your children? I don't want her teaching mine. And you know what? She resigned, and we think that's some dang good news. Dang good news. Go flip some burgers somewhere. Go find a different job. Get out of the public limelight here, and go somewhere where your agenda is not allowed to be shoved down the throats of Americans. She got what she had coming. She got what she had coming. And you know what? Again, yeah, I got banned for 24 hours. Yes, the post got taken down. Yes, that stuff all happened. But you know what? The news got out. The news got out. The media started covering it finally. And that's what happens. You know, they pretend to pretend. Well, we don't want to talk about it. We don't want to say anything. You know, of course, the liberal leftist media in Minnesota, Star Tribune, those people, city pages, they don't want to touch this type of stuff. Only after our post had over 3,000 shares and had saturated the entire state, only after then did they decide to run the story. And hey, you know, it was a success. It was a smashing success because she resigned. She resigned from her job teaching. Now we're told that she has a job at another restaurant. We're not sure about that. Maybe we'll post something on that a little bit later. And hey, again, it was totally worth the 24-hour ban. I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to be back on top of this stuff. And to report the good news. The good news is that the left lost a little ally today in the right. Folks like us, you and me, everyday Americans who love our country, we love our gun rights, we love our freedoms, because people like her, they're anti-gun. They're anti-gun, and they're for every leftist agenda that you can think of. And you know what? We love exposing people like that. And hey, we knew it was a bit edgy, knew it was a risk, knew that, hey, something might happen if we post this because, the trolls love to just go on a bender. And sure enough, yeah, the post did get pulled and we did get a ban for 24 hours from that. But well worth it. Well worth it because the media picked up on it and there was enough public outcry from folks like us. We started it. Good job, you guys. Good job. These people got what they had coming to them. And let this be a lesson in Minnesota. For too long, the radical left has held the reins of Minnesota politics. For too long, those who would push a leftist agenda of gun control, of bloated government, of leftist ideology have had free reign in Minnesota politics to force their agenda on us. For too long. Those days are over. Those days are over. We will fight any legislator who would dare push this agenda on us. And hey, if you want to be a teacher and come on out running your mouth about assassinating U.S. Supreme Court justices, we will call you to the mat on that as well. We'll call you to the mat on it every single time, and we're going to fight back. We're going to keep pushing back. We're going to retake this state. We have made massive improvements. I mean, there's no reason gun control shouldn't have passed in 2018 with what the political climate was, but gun owners slapped the ever-living daylights out of the Minnesota legislature for weeks. For weeks, you guys pummeled them with phone calls, emails, and Facebook messages saying your agenda is not welcome in our state. Your store, it's not welcome here, and we're going to come after you at election time. We're doing it right now, and we're going to give you a taste of your own medicine, and that is what happened today. That's what happened today, in a small way, of course, in a small way. But this leftist, far left teacher got what she has coming to her. You want to sit here and talk about slaughtering, assassinating U.S. Supreme Court justices and just like that's okay? I know the Twitter sphere and this online marketplace, if you will, is where the liberal far leftists like to hang out. But you know what? There's a lot of us on there too. And this teacher with the big mouth who thought it was okay to kill Brett Kavanaugh, well, she just lost her job. And you know what? We're not shedding any tears about it. We're not shedding any tears because you know what? This is what happens when you come after us. This is what happens when you come after folks like us, when you come after our gun rights, when you try to shove your agenda down our throats, you pay a price. And we are not afraid to extract a heavy toll on these people for pushing this agenda. And today, hey, she got what she had coming to her. So thank you guys to the 3,000 plus people who shared that original post about her Twitter comment. To the 3,000, thank you. You are amazing. You're fantastic. You are phenomenal. And you're the reason this story blew up. Because again, no media outlet was going to touch it. Nobody was going to touch it until all of a sudden it was literally saturating this entire state. And again, we were getting hundreds of comments from leftists, all these people. How dare you? How could you possibly say something like this about her? She's just a sweet, innocent girl. She doesn't deserve all this. You're a bunch of effing this and effing that. And they were losing their minds, sending us messages on the backside. We couldn't tell enough of them to pound sand fast enough, but we did our level best. Again, it got pulled down and I got a ban for it, but but it was worth it. It was worth it. When I saw this this news breaking from all the media outlets here in Minnesota saying that she had resigned after drawing attention to this, I said that is the best reason to have a 24-hour Facebook ban that I've ever seen in my life. So we got to keep up the pressure on these people, guys. And just, again, Minnesota Nice has no place in Minnesota politics. No place at all. Because the left, I mean, again, hey, I'm a nice guy. I really am. I try to be a nice guy. I know a lot of you are nice, decent people too. I love my family. I'm a calm person. I carry my firearm every day. I believe in God, family, my country, my freedoms, my Second Amendment rights. These are the things that I believe in. And I'm a very calm person. But you come after our freedoms, we're going to come after you. For too long, our niceness has been used as a club to beat us over the head with politically. The left, they will scream and yell and lose their minds, as we have seen for the last month with the Brett Kavanaugh hearings. They can do that. But, oh, my goodness, if we point out even one person who's saying maybe we should assassinate Brett Kavanaugh, now all of a sudden we're big, mean guys. Well, you know what? We're totally okay with being seen as big, mean guys. Because you know what? Pushing back against these psychopaths, it's not a nice thing. It's hard to be nice to people who want to destroy our American way of life. And so nice is done. Nice is done in Minnesota politics. I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. You attack the Second Amendment, we're coming after you at election time. And we're doing it right now in districts all across the state. This stuff is rolling out in targeted districts. Hey, this is what we were fundraising for this entire year. This entire summer is to fund these programs, the radio ads that we're having drawn up right now, the mail that we're doing. We're bringing the hammer down on radical anti-gun leftists. That's our job. We're not going to apologize for it. We're not going to say, oh, we should have been a little bit nicer about it. No, absolutely not. We don't care about your feelings, leftists. What we care about is our freedom. We care about our freedoms and our Second Amendment and our American way of life, and we're going to keep fighting for it. And you know what? This school teacher from Minnesota was a casualty of war. You opened your mouth. You suggested assassination of a sitting U.S. Supreme Court justice, and you were surprised when people actually stood up and took offense at that. Unbelievable. Guys, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think about all this stuff? You think being nice helps? Let me know in the comments. Do you think that we should not have posted what we did a couple of days ago and brought attention to this? Do you think that we should have given her a free pass or hid her name and where she works? Do you think that we should have just, been really nice about the whole thing? Or do you think that us standing up to the left and fighting back and showing them, because look, we got a message from a leftist on the back side of the page, and they said, you should not be posting this. How dare you? How dare you say anything like this? How dare you put her name out there? You should blotch her name out and where she works, and you should not let anybody see any of that information, and just use it as kind of maybe just use it as a word picture of what the left believes in. Well, that stuff is all over the place. That stuff is all over the place. Oh boy, now, yeah, that's what a leftist said over here, and that's what a leftist said over there, and nobody will say who it was or point out who the heck the people were. And so I just wrote them back on the backside, and I said, here's the deal: we're unapologetic about it, and let this be a lesson to the rest of the leftists, radical liberals in Minnesota. Let this be a lesson to them of the power of grassroots Minnesotans and what we can bring down, what you guys are capable of unleashing on bad politicians, on bad citizens, on people who want to shove this stuff down our throat. Let this be a lesson of the power of grassroots Minnesota gun rights members and supporters, and let them never forget. That's what I told them, and I was happy to tell them that as I watched the shares on that post go from 2,000 to 2,200 to 2,500, topping out above 3,000 shares before Facebook pulled the post and gave me a 24-hour ban. But by then, the damage had been done, and it was well worth it. And yeah, let this be a lesson. This story blew up in this state because you guys shared it, because you guys called it to attention, because you guys made those phone calls to the school district and said, how dare you employ a radical leftist who wants to kill Brett Kavanaugh. And she's open about it. She's shouting about this from the rooftops, so to speak, on her Twitter page. Joy says, why the ban? Facebook told me that I violated community standards. They didn't say why. They simply said that it violated community standards. And I'm sure it was because we actually said the person's name. We actually pointed out this is a real person. They said this. And hey, this is where they work as well. And so, of course, Facebook does not take lightly to that. And I knew that. I knew that when we posted it. When I posted it, I said, well, I'm probably going to get a ban for this. But it's worth it. It's worth it to bring this down on these people and say, this is what we're willing to do. There's no lengths to which we will not go to fight back. To fight back. We got to fight back. If we sit down and do nothing, Minnesota will become the Midwest California. It will. It'll happen if we don't start fighting back and pushing back on this stuff. Cindy says one less loony teaching the kids. Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Can you imagine? Do you think that this teacher was teaching any of these kids to respect the Constitution? Do you think that this teacher was teaching any of these kids how important, the First Amendment is, the Second Amendment is? Do you think that she was walking them through respecting the founding fathers and the principles that make our country great? Nah, guaranteed not. She's a radical, far leftist, and she got what she had coming. She got what she had coming. And hey, we're happy for it. We're not going to sit here and shed tears. This is what's coming for anybody who stands up against the members and supporters of Minnesota gun rights and tries to shove a radical leftist agenda down our throats. This is what's coming for legislators, for candidates, for those who decide that they can take free swings at the Second Amendment. No, those days are gone. Those days are over in this state because I don't know if you guys know this, but we actually have the largest political Facebook page in the entire state by far. We have the largest Facebook page in the entire state when it comes to politics. And you know what? You guys are using it fantastically to bring down pressure on legislators, on candidates, and force this issue. And you know what? You used it to draw attention to this leftist, far left agitator teacher who said, quote, "So who's going to take one for the team and kill Kavanaugh?" That's what she said. That's what she said. Insane. So we love it. We love it. I love my job. I love drawing attention to this stuff and fighting back. Let's see here. Boy, there's so many comments. Like I usually go through the comments and read a bunch of them, but we have hundreds of comments now, and I can hardly read them all. Let's see here. Lisa says, they are sending interference on your live feed now. We've seen this before. Insane. I've seen worse, but they don't like you telling us what's up. Yeah, they've been pushing back on us for a long time, trying to kill our Facebook page. But you know what? 3,000 shares 2 days ago on this leftist post about killing Kavanaugh. 3,000 shares is insane. That's great. That's great stuff. And you know what? It blew the story up so big that the media was no longer able to ignore it. They were no longer able to ignore it. It had gotten far too big. And we didn't see, nobody else was sharing it. Nobody else was talking about this. Nobody else was drawing attention to the radical leftists who were saying this stuff. Dave Peterson, in all caps, says, no compromise. As always, Dave, we love you, man. Thanks for coming on here. Guys, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about this stuff. We think that we did a good deed here, and we're very grateful to the 3,000 people who shared that post, drawing attention to the radical leftists who wanted to kill Brett Kavanaugh. We're not sorry for it. We're not sorry for it, even though I got a 24-hour ban out of the deal. Carrie says, isn't calling for someone to be killed a crime? You bet it is. You bet it is. But if nobody talks about it, well, then, hey, it never happened, right? Nobody talks about it until all of a sudden it's slapping them in the face. And that is what happened when you guys shared that post 3,000 times right here in the state of Minnesota, slapping the heck out of them and forcing the leftist media to talk about it. And of course, they do it in the nicest way possible. They use words like allegedly, and we're not going to talk about the woman's name, and they try to couch it and make it sound as innocent as possible. And oh, she's a special education teacher, and doesn't that make her special and nice? And this is all becoming just too much. No, look, you call for assassination, you get in trouble for it. Actions have consequences. It's time for the left to figure that out. And millennials. I'm a millennial, but you know what? It's time for people to realize that actions have consequences. You can't just say whatever you want to say or do whatever you want to do without there being some sort of reaction to it. So you call for the assassination of a U.S. Supreme Court justice, and don't be surprised when bad things come of it. So, again, we're not sorry. Carrie says she's a special ed teacher. That's even more disturbing. You're darn right that's disturbing. You're darn right that's disturbing. Get away from our kids. Get away from our kids. We don't want you teaching our kids. We want to teach our kids to respect their country, to respect the Constitution, to respect their parents and their grandparents. We want them to respect their rights and their freedoms. We want them to stand up for their families, for their country, for their God, for their rights, and fight back. And we don't need radicals like Samantha Ness. I believe was her name. Oh, I might have got that wrong all of a sudden. It's off the top of my head. We don't need people like that trying to indoctrinate our children and turn them into little leftist robots. We just don't approve. This message, not approved by Minnesota Gun Rights to teach our kids how to be leftist assassins. Insane. Aaron says, do you think she'll go to court? She should. Well, I don't know. It depends on what the FBI decides to. Again, the article I just read from Fox 59 says the FBI in Minneapolis told the Star Tribune that it's aware of the tweet. So the FBI knows, and the same article says that the Secret Service was also alerted. So both the Secret Service and the FBI have been informed of this tweet. And hopefully they take some action here. And again, let this be a lesson to the radical left. You want to try to shove this stuff down our throats? You think you can do whatever you want to do and get away with it? You think you can ignore the rule of law and get away with it? You think that you can try to seize our firearms and bully somebody like Brett Kavanaugh from becoming a Supreme Court justice through a hoax? Through an absolute hoax? President Trump called it a hoax. We all know what it was. Christine Blasey Ford, the whole thing was a hoax. None of her story was corroborated. The whole thing was designed to keep Kavanaugh out of office long enough for the midterms to happen, and hopefully the Democrats would take back a bunch of seats in Congress. We all know what was happening. No, we don't approve of that. We don't approve of that. It's a smear campaign, as Carrie says, and we're pushing back. Minnesota Nice doesn't exist with Minnesota Gun Rights. It just doesn't. We don't play that way. Our rights and our freedoms are incredibly important to us. Real people suffer real consequences because we don't have laws like stand your ground law or constitutional carry. Real people are going to prison simply for defending themselves because of our crappy, horrible, crappy self-defense laws. These things affect real people. And so we take this job very seriously. And we don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. If you don't move pro-gun bills for us, if you don't stop gun control for us, we will come after you at election time, because you know what? We simply believe that legislators should follow through with their campaign promises and support the Second Amendment in a real way by passing pro-gun bills. So we're not playing around here. We don't exist so that I can go to St. Paul, which unfortunately I have to do on occasion, so that I can go to St. Paul and rub elbows with politicians and kiss their backside and pray that they do something nice for us. That's not how we do it here. We're willing to fight hardcore and expose these people. And you know what? We did it 2 days ago with this teacher from Minnesota. We paid a little price for it. They yanked the post, and I got a 24-hour ban off the whole thing. But hey, we're willing to do whatever we have got to do to defend our Second Amendment rights. We are willing to expose anybody and everybody. We are willing to call down the thunder on these people. And you know what? This leftist, radical left teacher lost her job as a consequence. Hey, you know, we're not crying about it. We're not crying about it because the left, they use this same stuff to beat us to oblivion all the time. Again, I brought up earlier, think of the cake makers, the Christian cake makers. Hey, they didn't want to make a cake. They lost their business as a consequence. This type of stuff happens all the time. Hey, you don't want to serve me a coffee drink here? We're going to shut your business down. This church doesn't want to marry these people? We're going to shut your church down. The left will come after us with everything they've got to force their agenda down our throat. They will destroy our businesses. They will try to run us out of town. They will destroy personal reputations. They will do whatever they have. I mean, you saw what happened with Kavanaugh over the last 3 weeks or a month. They will do whatever is necessary to get their agenda passed. And then when we stand up and say something, they go, "Oh, you're so mean. Oh, you're not nice. Oh, you should be. We need to be nicer than they are. We have to show that we're not as bad as the left is. We need to be nicer." No, let me tell you, I've seen it a million times. I've watched people go in the Capitol in St. Paul and go up to talk to a radical leftist legislator. I've watched this with my own eyes. And this person, this legislator, they want to destroy our American way of life. They're communists. They're leftists. They're bought and paid for by Michael Bloomberg, by George Soros. They carry their bills in St. Paul. And I have watched these well-meaning, well-intentioned people get totally spun on their heads because they have to be so nice. "Oh, sir, it's so nice to meet you, sir. I disagree with what you say, but I respect your office," and blah, blah, blah. And nothing happens. That legislator literally will stand there and laugh when they walk away because how foolish are you? Don't you know who I am? I want to destroy your entire way of life. And you're sitting here licking my boots? No, that's not how Minnesota gun rights plays. That's why, you know, we've had legislators screaming at us in St. Paul when we're up there exposing their gun control bills. We have had politicians lose their minds. It happens often enough. But guys, you got to be bold. You got to fight back hard. You've got to be able to be, as my friend Dave Peterson always says, you got to be willing to be no compromise. There is no compromise in our fight for the Second Amendment, and we're not willing to play these games. Carrie says, "What about Ellison? What about Keith Ellison? There's actual corroborated evidence." Yeah, so we got Keith Ellison. He can beat the bloody pulp out of his girlfriends, black and blue and all bloody and cut up. But hey, he gets a free pass. But my gosh, you say one thing about a woman who wants to kill a Supreme Court justice, and all of a sudden, we're bad people. Carrie, speaking of Ellison, I would keep an eye on our Facebook page. We're going to be rolling out some programs via email and Facebook and radio ads as well. About where Ellison stands on some of these issues. So keep an eye out. Those programs are all in the works. We're not just a talk show here. We've got real programs with serious money donated by you guys, rolling out some of these programs right now. And while I'm on the topic, I hate doing this, but I have to. If you want to make a contribution to MGR right now, help us expose these people. We could use it. We could use it. We spend heavily. We fundraise as much as possible in the summer so that we have a war chest going into November to run radio ads, emails, mass email deployments, Facebook videos targeted into districts, and we're spending the money you've given us. We're spending it wholesale right now, exposing gun grabbers in targeted, very important districts in this state. Not just willy-nilly. We're not just passing it off. We're bringing the thunder down on weak, vulnerable anti-gun candidates. So if you want to help out with that, please make a contribution. The link on top of this video or right here in the comments section. I have it pinned. We'd love the help. But yes, please keep an eye out for our program as we expose Keith Ellison for the radical leftist communist that he is. So guys, that is my happy story for the day. This teacher lost her job, and I'm not shedding any tears about it because you know what? I got a 24-hour ban out of the whole deal. So at least we got some win. We got some win out of it. So again, thank you to the 3,000 members and supporters of Minnesota Gun Rights who shared our post a couple of days ago, drawing attention to this. Over 400,000 people saw that post. That was the post reach on that. Over 400,000 people saw what this teacher had said about assassinating Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh, and you guys blew the story up and forced our liberal leftist media here in Minnesota, you forced them to take action and to actually run the story because now it was a story. So thank you to the 3,000 people who shared that post and blew this story up. Let this be a lesson to anybody else in Minnesota. You want to make threats? You want to suggest assassination attempts? You want to do that type of stuff and think you get a free pass on it? You won't. You don't. And we are more than happy to draw attention to this stuff, no matter what. No matter what. Again, we kind of knew it was a risky post. It was a risky post because it actually exposed where this woman worked. But you know what? By the time the Facebook gods, again, curse your rotten soul, Mark Zuckerberg. And for those of you who are watching this, who work for Facebook, I don't mean any of that. But anyway, it was a good price to pay. A good price to pay. And before they pulled it down, more than 400,000 people saw that post. And this teacher resigned from the school that she worked at, effective today. And so we're happy about that. We're happy. So guys, share this happy story on your Facebook pages. Please just take a moment while you're watching, press share, and it'll automatically throw it right on your personal timeline. Let people see this is what happens. This is what happens when you attack gun owners. This is what happens when you decide to ignore the rule of law. This is what happens when you try to push your leftist agenda and you think you can do it for free, as if we're not going to say or do anything. Let this be a lesson to politicians of the fire and fury that the members and supporters of Minnesota Gun Rights are capable of unleashing on your anti-gun hides. In 2019, when you try to push your gun control agenda, we are going to continue pushing back and shove this stuff down your throats, not the other way around, because Minnesota Gun Rights does not believe in Minnesota nice when it comes to Minnesota politics. I'm a nice guy. I talk to people a lot. I'm not a liberal, but I talk to liberals. I talk to leftists. I talk to all kinds of people who disagree with me. I do that a lot. But when it comes to politics, when it comes to politicians, when it comes to this stuff as policy and politics, Guys, we got to be a dog on a bone. Street brawlers and fighters, not literally, politically speaking, street brawlers, to stop this leftist agenda from advancing in our state. This is our state, and we are not going to sit here and watch our Second Amendment get flushed down the drain. We are not going to sit here and watch your leftist agenda get shoved down our throats. Not going to happen. We're going to fight back. We're always fighting back. And you know what? At this time of the year, I'm at the office from 6 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night. A lot of days. Midnight, later. We're running these programs full bore. I love it. I enjoy it so much. And you guys give us the resources we need to get the job done. But we are utterly committed to fighting against this agenda in Minnesota. And you know what? We couldn't do a dang thing if it wasn't for you guys, our members and supporters. So rock on. Thank you again. Guys, share this video. Let people know what happened to this leftist teacher. And let this be a lesson to the rest of the radical leftists in this state. Back in April, back in March, rather, we had, March for Our Lives. We had 18,000 anti-gun radicals standing on the steps of the Minnesota State Capitol, shouting for gun control, and you guys shut that down. You shut it down. You shut it down hard. This is the power of grassroots Minnesotans, not lobbyists. Lobbyists are greasy. Lobbyists are slimy. I know I'm a registered lobbyist, but whatever. That's a different, they hate me up there. They hate me. Lobbyists are not good. Grassroots pressure, tens of thousands of phone calls, emails, Facebook messages, and gun owners showing up at the Capitol. That is real political power. And you guys give us what we need to stop these anti-gunners in their tracks. You guys are the power. You guys are Minnesota gun rights. Not me, not the banner behind me. You guys are the power of this organization. And you guys have been deadly effective at stopping gun control from passing. And you guys have booted out many, many, many radical anti-gunners from office. In 2016, I think of former Senator Rod Skoy, former Senator Lyle Coonan, radical leftists who were totally booted from office by the members and supporters of Minnesota gun rights. And we're going to continue this pattern moving forward. And we are going to continue fighting on behalf of the Second Amendment with no apologies. No apologies. So radical leftists, just save it. You don't need to message us all the time and complain and call us every name in the book because we exposed one of you on our Facebook page. We're not sorry for it. We do not see things from your perspective. And it'll be a cold day in hell before you get an apology from us for standing up for our rights, our freedoms, our liberties, the American way of life, and our Second Amendment. Never happened, not in a million years. So, guys, I'm going to hop off right now. Please share this video. If you're not a member of Minnesota Gun Rights, please go to our website, minnesotagunrights.org. Become a member. We are the largest, by far, grassroots gun rights organization. We are the only no compromise gun rights organization in this state. There are other organizations, but this one is ours, and the rest are in it for their friendships. They're in it for their own power, for their own control, and for their own agenda. We are here. We are no compromise, and we are going to shove this leftist agenda down the throats of radical anti-gunners in St. Paul, and you guys have been helping us do it for forever. So please get on board. Sign up on our website, minnesotagunrights.org, or click on the link right here in the comments section. Share this story on your Facebook page. Let people know what happened here, and pat yourself on the back, especially if you are one of the 3,000 people who shared that post 2 days ago about this leftist teacher calling for the assassination of Brett Kavanaugh. Share that. Share it on your Facebook page. Pat yourself on the back because, hey, we got to win today. We got to win. So I'm going to hop off for right now. We're going to keep pushing on here. Paula says shared. We love you, Paula. You people are amazing. You guys are fantastic. And it is shooting these videos every day, or as often as we can, is literally the highlight of my day every time. It's like talking to family. You guys are my best friends. You guys are fighters, and you guys have rocked St. Paul 100 times over, and we're going to continue fighting this fight and exposing anti-gun radicals all the way between today and November 6th. We're not letting up. So help us get on board, share these posts, become a member, and I will be back tomorrow with another update. Hopefully we have another fantastic feel-good story for you then. So have a good rest of your day. Enjoy the drizzle. It's a little rainy out there, but it is Minnesota. And I'll see you tomorrow. God bless you guys.